Hello everyone, hope that you all are doing well and learning well from my videos. But you people are not subscribing the channel. So I would like to request you, if you are liking the content, do subscribe the channel and like share on the videos. So today in this video we will be applying Spring Security with basic authorization and authentication, where I will not be connecting with the database and would be using in-memory access. So in the previous video of Spring Security Hello World, I have made a project where we applied Spring Security through the dependency, the basic Spring Security provided by Spring dependency. So I'll be continuing on the same project, and if you haven't watched the video, the link would be in the description. Do check out. So let's go to the IDE and see the project. So the previous project was made like this. I made a controller here and one hello call was being made after the login process was done. So now what we have to do is, like, we use the username and password from the property files in the previous example, but this is a good practice when we are testing the application. But when we need to apply some permission oriented checks in our security, we will not use application properties for username and password. So I'll delete these and save the application properties. So for applying the authorization, first of all we need to make configuration for our Spring Security, that these configurations would be considered while a permission to a request should be provided or not. So let's go to the project structure and make a configuration package first. So let's make a configuration package. Let's say dot configuration, and here in this configuration package I will make a class that is Spring Security configuration. Right, now in this class, as we have to apply the security, there is a class already provided which this class needs to extend. So it will extend to web security configurer adapter. So in this class we have already few methods of configuration that we'll be overriding in this class. First of all, we need to annotate this class by @configuration to tell our dispatcher that this is our configuration class by annotating it by @configuration. So now we'll be overriding few of the methods. So the method starts with configuration. Yes, this is the method. So we'll override this method. I'll remove this code, and we need in this method where we have the authentication manager builder, we need to tell our Spring Security that okay, what will be our configuration like, means what our user will be, our user role will be, our user password will be. Right now I am using the in-memory as mentioned before, so I'll be using that here, in-memory authentication dot user with user. I'll be hard coding the user right now. I am not using the database user, so I am hard coding it, and password as password and role as admin. So this is the way where we can actually tell Spring Security that this is our user with password and the role as admin. So the next configuration method I will be overriding is HTTP. So in this HTTP configuration we will be telling that how we are configuring that all our request would be governed by our login. All the request coming from our to our controller will be authorized, authenticated with a login page or not. So here we'll be using http dot we will be first of all we before telling that we'll be going to the what request would be governed, what request would be authorized or not, we first need to tell that okay, our CSRF should be disabled, as we are not generating CSRF token dynamically right now, because that procedure is being followed when we are connected with the database. Dynamic CSRF token means that all our request will be appended with a dynamic generated string which tells that request that okay, this is a unique request, and associated with that, when we hit another request for that particular request, another CSRF is generated which tells that the older request has been over and the new request is being generated. For that, CSRF token is being used. Right now I am not using it, so I am disabling it. So I'll use http dot authorize request dot any request. Any request tells that any it doesn't matter that your controllers you have 2 controllers or 4 controllers. Any request coming to the dispatcher, it will be authenticated with the login. So I'll say fully authenticated dot and http basic. So this tells that all request coming would be authenticated with http basic, right? So this actually tells that any request from to any controller will be authenticated. So so before going ahead, we also need a encoder of password, as right now we are using in-memory methods for using user and password, which is hard coded. So Spring doesn't understand that string password, it understands the encoded password. So we need to tell Spring that we are not using any encoder. So for that we have to make a method that is public static no op password encoder, and here we have to return no op password encoder dot get instance. This is a deprecated method, but we have to use this for telling that that there is no encoding in our password right now. So this will save. Okay, we have to actually annotate this with @bean. So okay, I have saved it. Now if I go to our main class, that is Spring Security Login, and I run our class, and let me go to the browser and I'll go to the incognito window. The server has started. Yes, and I'll type my request as, sorry, I was on incognito localhost 8080 /rest/auth/hello. So it is asking for sign in, right? So our request was from this controller. It says rest auth/hello, and it asks for username password. So I'll input username password as Raman and password as password. Yes, it shows the output. So this is the output, hello world. So this tells that all the requests coming are authenticated through username and password. So this was number one way that how we can authenticate all our requests. but there are sometimes there are needs where some requests are open for everyone and some requests are reserved for few URLs are being reserved for some people who are known to those URLs, right? So I'll comment this. I'll first copy this and I'll then comment it. Now we'll implement another way of authenticating the URLs here. Here I'll be telling that only the URL which I specify should be authenticated. So for that, let me go to the controller package and make another controller with different mapping. So let me go and make a class where I'll say no auth controller, which tells that there is no authentication required for this controller. I will annotate it as REST controller and I'll pass the mapping here and I'll say slash no auth. I'll make a method here with @get mapping and mapping as say hello, right? And I'll give a method as well, public string say hello, and I'll say return string hello. Right now I will say no auth to identify that this is from the non-authorized controller, right? So I have made this method. Now I'll go to Spring Security configuration and now I'll tell that what request should be authenticated and what not to be authenticated. So I'll remove any request. Any request specifies that all requests coming should be fully authenticated. Now I'll say that request that matches some pattern. So I'll say and matcher and I'll specify the pattern as slash rest slash star star. This tells that any request coming with this pattern should be authenticated, right? And any other request shouldn't be authenticated, right? So we will do it like this and we'll save it. Now if I go to main class, first I'll close the server and then I'll go to our main class and run the server again. Let's see if from our credentials our request use the URL authentication which we have provided works or not. So let's see, the server starts. Yes, the server has started. Now let me again open a browser, go to incognito mode. I'm using incognito because it's easy, it doesn't cache things, right? So localhost 8080 slash rest slash auth slash hello. So this was my URL which was required to be authenticated. So I'll say Raman and I'll say password as password and it is authenticated. Great. Now what? Now I want to test that. Okay, I have mentioned that my request of no auth should also work. So I'll say localhost slash no auth slash say hello. Let me check the mapping first, that the mapping is correct or not. So I'll go to no auth controller, it's say hello. Yes, no auth say hello. So you can see that there no authentication has been required and it say hello no auth. So the output has been provided to us. So this is the another method where how we can actually provide the authentication. So this is called as the URL mapping authentication, right? So there is a third way where we can actually tell the authentication, a different type of authentication. So that is the role based authentication, right? So now if I've already provided a user with the role as admin, so I'll also make another user with a role as user and I'll say I can name it as Rakesh. Okay, I'll do it Rakesh. So here I will have to change few things to tell the request that okay, what all requests are being permitted and what are not permitted. So I'll simply say http request and matcher, and I'll specify as no auth slash star star dot permit all. I'll say that any request coming with this kind of a URL should be permitted, right? And now what request should not be permitted? I'll say dot and dot authorize request dot and matcher and request of slash rest slash star star. So this shouldn't be this request should be authorized and this shouldn't be authorized, right? So I'll say slash rest, and I'll say that it should have a role. So I'll say has any role, and I'll specify the role as admin, and I'll say any request coming with this kind of parameters to be authenticated with HTTP basic. Right now this is the way we will tell that okay, our no auth URL calls should not be should be permitted all, there shouldn't be any kind of authentication required, but slash rest request requires authentication for the user should have a role as admin, right? So we will do it like this. For the role authentication, we'll save the file, I'll close the server again, and I'll run the server again. So let me close the server first and then go to the main class and then run Spring Boot. So our application is up. I'll close the browser because it cache things. So localhost, I'll say 8080 slash rest slash auth slash hello. So authentication has been required, so I'll say Raman and password as password, and it allows me. Now what? Now I have to test with the another user who doesn't have the role as admin, it has a role of user. So let me again open that request slash rest slash auth. So now it asks me for username password. I'll input the username as, let me go to the security file and tell the user is Rakesh and password is password. So I'll say Rakesh and the password is password. So it says 403 forbidden. This tells that this URL is not meant for this user. This URL is not given access for this user, right? So we haven't made an error page, so it tells that okay, the error has come, this request is not made for this particular user you have inputted, so white label error has been shown. So now if I write that URL that access is being given to all, so I'll say no auth slash say hello. Yes, it works. It works for any user. It doesn't ask for any kind of authentication, right? So let me summarize it, that how we can apply authentication authorization, basic authentication authorization without connecting with the database. So the first way was that we said that all our requests should be authenticated. We simply applied any request dot fully authenticated, right? Then the second way was that we want to tell that only request coming with this particular pattern of URL should be authenticated, other requests shouldn't be authenticated. So we applied ant matcher and we provided our string here that what kind of URL should be matched and should be authenticated. Then the third way of authenticating was that we provided the role as well, that the role of the user should be admin. So this was it from the video. Do share, like, comment on this video, and also check the code repository present in the description. The link would be in the description. Do subscribe the channel and do be connected with this channel. Definitely I am coming up with some new videos, and also this concept would be explained by me with database connection as well in the future. So do subscribe the channel, and please be connected to this channel. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much.